this has been fantastic. I really appreciate you giving us time today. With your on your website, Tao of Trading, I know you have an academy, and you really focus on options trading, which is a big component to I know how you approach things. What would you say? What's the like aha moment when you work with people to to trade and particularly to trade options? What's that kind of thing that they realize, wow, okay, this was something I was totally missing. This is the way I should be trading that I wasn't before. Is there that thing that you see people? What's that light that pops on for students that you've worked with?
People in trading, they dish out, trite wisdom like cut losses short, let the winners run, and okay.
Yep.
The beauty of doing that with options is if you're trading them directionally, the asymmetry they offer. You've got limited downside, you've got uncapped upside. So you've kind of got some built-in risk management anyway.
Yeah.
But then it's when you start getting really, really paranoid about cutting losses, cutting positions that aren't working. I say your first job of a trader should protect their trading capital like a parent protects its children. Because that's how important it is. All right. If you can get really good at not losing money or keeping your losses really small while following a disciplined process with an edge, your success becomes almost inevitable. Yes, there are still ways traders can blow themselves up, but the probabilities are so stacked in your favor if you can get really good at not losing money. And by not losing money or keeping losses really small, it gives you the license to practice. Now, I think very few people become an overnight success in trading. It does require effort, and it's an experiential skill. It's like swimming. It's like playing golf. It does require some reps and some practice.
Yeah.
But if you can do minimal damage to yourself while you're practicing, like I said, over time, you almost can't fail. And I think options is a great tool for that, because unlike FX or futures where the leverage cuts both ways,
sure.
With options, it doesn't cut you as badly on the way down, or if it moves against you.
Yeah, no, I think that's really well. I think that's really well said, Simon. What I know for some that have not traded in the options market before, it can feel a little overwhelming, particularly when you start talking about more exotic structures and things that can be done. But obviously, the opportunities are pretty are very much there. What's sort of for those that have not traded options before, what sort of things do you encourage them to start with? What's sort of like an example starting trade for like the Options 101, I just want to get comfortable with this and realize I'm not going to lose my shirt, and it's about risk and reward. Can you give an example of just a hypothetical structure that would make sense for you? What do you start people out with?
Yeah, I think the best trade for new options traders is the long call debit spread.
Okay.
Now, you might think, well, why would you start with a spread? That's two legs. That's more complex.
Seems complex, right?
It's only a little bit more complex. But the thing with a spread is you can often structure a debit spread so that there's no time decay. All right. The options are wasting assets. So every day that you hold a call or a put option and price isn't moving in your favor, it's going to lose a bit of value. With a debit spread, you can mitigate that. You can even create debit spreads that are slightly theta positive, which is always nice, which means they actually profit from the passage of time. The other thing is people, when they start trading, they don't know when to take profit. Now with a spread, let's say your spread is $5 wide. Well, I'm just going to set a limit order at $4 or $4.50. I'm going to try and take 80 to 90% of the width of the spread. I'm not going to hold out to take 99% of the width of the spread. I'd rather grab the low-hanging fruit and then recycle that capital into a new trade with edge. So it mitigates the option trader's worst enemy, which is time decay, and it makes setting profit targets an absolute no-brainer.
No, that's a great one. You had some examples of those types of trades in your book, and I'm sure you go through those with your students as well. But what I found particularly is looking at the sort of the P&L curve. I don't know exactly what you'd call it, but just looking at what your P&L would be in different scenarios, right? If the price does this, this is what it means. Once you look at it that way, a something like a call spread makes a lot more sense because you actually just see the bet you're making and what the potential outcomes are. Simon, this is awesome. We just scratched the surface on so many things. I hope this isn't the last time we talk, but I'm glad it's the first time. Where can we point people to learn more about you and what you're doing?
Sure. You can follow me on X. Simon_Ree is my handle on X. I'm also on LinkedIn. And if you want to find out more about our educational programs, look us up at taofoftrading.com.
That's fantastic. Simon, my 9-year-old son loves when I interview someone from Singapore or somewhere in Asia, because I always tell him I'm talking to someone from tomorrow, which always gets a big kick out of it. But thanks so much for joining me today, Simon. Great to meet you virtually again. I hope we can have you back on again. But thanks for giving us time today.
This has been fun. Thanks, David.
Thanks again to Simon Ree, author of The Tao of Trading, for joining us on the podcast today. We'll have a link along with the episode to check out his most recent book, which again I really enjoy. And I tell you, there's just a bunch of investing wisdom. I told him when the cameras were running, his book is the book I wish I'd written. Right, at some point, it sort of really talks about mindfulness, how to approach the markets, really, and focusing on the mental game, right? What happens between our ears, and using that as a foundation for good decision making and good discipline in your process. We touch on so many fun things that I think really are helpful for investors to keep in mind here in October of 2025 and beyond. Just the idea of trend following, the walk the dog analogy, which I think is absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's rare that I find analogies I haven't heard before, because I've been doing this for a while. That was a new one. I thought that was a brilliant way of illustrating multiple time frames, right? The short-term swings that make up the longer-term trends. I loved Simon's point about how to approach the market with sort of a bullish bias or a bearish bias, right? Should I be buying the dips or selling the rips? And just, it's easy to get just confused and apply a completely incorrect approach based on the larger trend. So it has to start with an assessment of trend. Loved his comments about risk management. Loved the discussion about systems and routines. The James Clear quote: "We don't rise to the level of our goals, but we fall to the level of our routines." And I think his comments about what makes a compelling routine pretty helpful. I love interviewing people that trade markets that I don't. I'm not an options trader. I really have not explored the options space much. I often get asked why I don't trade options, and I tell people it's because for much of my career, I worked for larger firms where we were very restricted in terms of what decisions we could make in our own portfolio. So I had to develop a whole portfolio management approach, a whole money management approach for my own portfolio that would allow me to be compliance friendly, which means it had to be very straightforward, couldn't use derivatives, couldn't be hedging, and things that, honestly, as an individual investor, give us so many opportunities. And, again, I'd encourage you to check out some of the comments that Simon made on our interview, and certainly on his website, taofoftrading.com, where you can learn more about, how to make better decisions and really some of the option strategies that could help you hedge and basically protect yourself against market turmoil. I would say now more than ever, it's time not to be complacent, to be ready and willing to take action as needed. Thanks again to Simon Ree joining us from Singapore for an enjoyable conversation.